Greetings. I'm in California visiting my daughter in Mountain View. And today I'd like to talk about Sebastián Castello. He is a very different thinker. Now, he's living between 1515 and 1563. And one of the quotes that he has, and I've shown, is to kill a man is not to defend a doctrine, but to kill a man. Now, as a young man, Castello had been a very devout Catholic, but he witnessed the execution of 3 Lutherans. They were heretics, and so they were executed by the church. He found this absolutely appalling. He quit the church. He quit his country. He goes and decided to go for the Protestant side of things, so he goes and works with John Calvin, who's off in Geneva, and there he becomes a teacher. He's a professor. Give me a second here. Anyway, he's a professor working for them as their schoolmaster. And he proved himself to be a very good scholar, so they were all quite impressed with him. But then, in 1553, at Calvin's push, there was a theologian named Michael Servetus. And they called for his execution because what he was teaching, he was actually doubting the Trinity. And they just found this abhorrent. So the Calvinists actually executed him, as Calvin had pushed. Well, to this, Sebastian found absolutely unacceptable. He believed that there could be no greater blasphemy than to kill a person, to kill a human being in the name of God. Sounds right. He responded with a book called On Heretics, whether they should be punished by the magistrate. And here he's referring to all the religions. And he said our first duty as Christians is to love one's neighbor as oneself. But how could one love one's neighbor while killing them over differences of sound doctrine? His comment was, how Christ will despise them on the day of judgment for this sound doctrine. Now, it's an interesting thing that people talk about, like truth and such like that, and certainly as a part of our faith, we have a lot of truths we hang on to so well. But these truths, which may not be the same as the truths other denominations or other religions might hold, they're not something with which we should be hurting other people. Our God is a God of mercy. Jesus called us to love one another, and Sebastián Castello held on to this very well. And he didn't get along with any of his peers because they, at that time, thought that error has no rights. This was held in the Catholic Church as well as several of the Protestant churches. You have to toe the line or else. Well, we have to be able to respect all people. So he published his book, and he used a pseudonym so he wouldn't be caught. But it didn't take him an awful lot of work, the authorities, to find out who it was that wrote the book. On finding him, they started legal procedures, which inevitably would have put him in the very position he was appalled about by everyone else. Unfortunately, even before these could be enforced, he passed away in 1563. And at that time, the wars of religion in Europe had just barely begun. Centuries will pass before his thinking is realized. It was so wonderful for those of us who are Catholics or those of us who adhere to the Vatican Council II documents. They talk a lot about respect for those we dialogue with. And we are to dialogue with everyone. We are to work with, and we are, as Jesus said, we are to love everyone. If someone's our enemy, we're to love them all the more. And so we are called to a position where we may have the truth, and that's good, and we need these truths. We need the things that we know are solid. But we don't need them as a battering ram or as something to hurt others with. We need to be open to those others who may not have our truth and yet may hold a part of the truth or the insight of the mystery of our God. Let us walk together as one big church, without walls, but a big church of everybody. Because here comes the church, and as the expression goes, here comes everybody.